Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So 68-year-old New York resident and Marine veteran Albert Ciarpelli headed over to the Capitol while Donald Trump's speech was actually still going. And he was seen on video at Peace Circle right when the mob was violently attacking the police when they tore down the barricades to advance toward the Capitol. You guys will remember that video. I shared it here. One female police officer was flung onto the ground. She hit her head on the concrete steps. She became unconscious. So it was very violent. So Ciarpelli was there. He stepped on and over those down barricades, and he followed the mob onto the restricted grounds. He was then seen at the front of the next police line, and he himself grabbed onto barricades. Other people were lifting the barricades off the ground. They were shoving them into the officers, and he was seen with his hands on those barricades, seemingly assisting them in shoving them into the police. So eventually, Ciarpelli was pushed back into the crowd, but he stayed near the front of the police line for about another 20 minutes, they said. And then he climbed through the inauguration scaffolding to the Upper West Terrace. When he reached the Capitol, Ciarpelli was seen banging on the parliamentarian door. He was hitting that with his fist. And then a short time later, and literally just 1 minute after the initial breach of the building, Ciarpelli was seen illegally entering the Capitol. He entered through the Senate wing doors. That was the first site of the first breach. So alarms were blaring. There was broken glass on the ground. He knew he was not allowed in. But Ciarpelli followed the mob. He followed them to the second floor of the building, and he was seen amongst a group in the Ohio clock corridor. So you would remember that scene as well. He was in those infamous photos in the video, along with the QAnon shaman. He was right next to him confronting officers. So Ciarpelli was seen in those photos and in that video pointing at the police. He was yelling at them. And then he exited the building about 15 minutes later, and then he re-entered about 45 minutes after that. Now, his second time in the building, Ciarpelli hung out in the rotunda for about 20 minutes, and then the police started clearing everyone out. So at that point, Ciarpelli exited the Capitol, but he remained on the restricted grounds until after dark. So just basically before the mayor imposed that 6 p.m. citywide curfew, that's when he finally left. So on January 8th, after Ciarpelli was publicly identified by the FBI as one of the people who was at the Capitol, his attorney reached out to the U.S. Marshal Service, and apparently the FBI interviewed him on January 10th. He identified himself in photos that were taken inside the building, and Ciarpelli told the agents that he knew he shouldn't have entered the Capitol, but he did it anyway. So Ciarpelli was arrested on January 12th of 2021, and he was charged with entering a restricted building or grounds, 2 counts of disorderly conduct, impeding passage on Capitol grounds, and parading or demonstrating in a Capitol building. In November of 2023, Ciarpelli pleaded guilty to the entering a restricted building charge, so he faced up to 1 year in prison, 1 year of probation, and $100,000 in fines. And this time, the prosecutor asked for a pretty decent sentence. The government requested 6 months behind bars, also 1 year of probation, 60 hours of community service, and only $500 in restitution. So this was kind of surprising considering how he turned himself in right away, also given the fact he has no criminal history. But the prosecutor pointed to his military service. They said it's basically a double-edged sword. You know, it's a positive and a negative. Yes, he served his country for 2 years, but on the other hand, he also swore an oath. He swore to protect and defend the country, not to attack it. So U.S. District Judge Colleen Kolar-Cotelli presided over Ciarpelli's case. And when all was said and done, she sentenced Ciarpelli to 90 days in prison, 1 year of probation, and $500 in restitution. So one of the better sentences for someone who didn't physically harm the police. As you all know, I think 3 to 4 months should be the mandatory minimum for these cases for trying to overthrow the government. So decent, and if it had been another judge, wouldn't have gone this way. So Ciarpelli is one of the tougher judges for the January 6 cases. So I'm glad it went to her. So I will let you know when I hear more. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Please donate if you possibly can. Love you all. Have a great weekend. Take care, and I'll talk with you soon.